Hi everyone, thanks for joining me in another video. Today is going to be a reaction video and part of a series. My name is Bryant Howard. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And today, like I said, we're going to do a reaction video. My wife thought it was a good idea for me to do some reaction videos on some popular TV shows and just give my overall thoughts and opinions on it from a therapeutic sense, I guess. So what we're going to do is there's a TV show, some of you might be familiar with it. It's called 90 Day Fiance. It's a popular show, I guess. So what I decided to do is take a look at the first episode, and I'm going to do a video for all of the shows. So it's 90 Day Fiance. It's the latest season. It's 90 Day Fiance Love in Paradise Season 3. So for those of you who maybe haven't seen it, maybe go check it out. But just for you all to know, again, my wife said that she thinks that this is a good idea for me to do. I am not a fan of the drama of reality TV shows. So I do not watch these kinds of shows at all. They're not my favorite. I almost I don't want to say hate watching them, but I don't like watching them at all. My wife loves these kinds of TV shows. She watches the 90 Day Fiance, some of the other ones. There's a Love at First Sight one, and some other shows too. I might do some reaction videos to some of those TV shows as well, so please stay tuned for what's going to be coming in the future. But let's dive into this first episode of 90 Day Fiance Season 3, Love in Paradise. So there's a few different couples that it starts with. It starts with 3 different couples. There's Jessica and Juan. There is Scott and Lydia, and then there is Duan Valentine or Valentine and Carlos. And so the episode, starts with Jessica, and it talks about, who she is and how she met with Juan, and how they got to where they are today and getting engaged and all that stuff. And so it seems like what happened was she met him on a cruise ship and thought he was the most beautiful man that she's ever seen. And they just pretty much hit it off right then and right there during that cruise that she took. And over 2 years that, they start to get closer and closer. She went to travel to see him. Juan lives in Colombia, and so she went to go and travel and see him a few times over the span of about 2 years, and then they got engaged. And so a few things that I noticed, and I have a couple concerns about that couple. The show starts off with Jessica and showing where she lives. So Jessica lives in Torrington, Wyoming, and she talks about this place and how there's not a whole lot to do there, and there's a whole bunch of cows. There's more cows there in that city than there are people, it sounds like. And so that means that it smells like cow poop all the time. And overall, there's just not a whole lot for someone to do there. And so she says that that's what took her on this cruise. She likes to travel and get away from, this place that she lives because there's nothing to do. So she goes on this cruise and she meets him. That's one of my first concerns, because they're going to be getting married, right? And so he's going to be traveling to Torrington to live with Jessica. So Juan's going to be living with Jessica. And my concern is he going to like it there, right? And how is he going to adjust, living there? If he lives in this exotic place and it's beautiful, and he has this life where it sounds like he's a bartender on these cruises, is he going to feel like he is missing out on life if he goes to live with Jessica in Cowtown? So that's one of my first concerns. One of my other concerns is Jessica has 2 kids. She has 2 boys, and she was previously married. She was married for 2 years, and things just didn't work out, and so they divorced. And so she has 2 kids from this divorce, and that's another concern to me. So in the show, in this first episode, they talk about how Jessica talks about how her and her kids and her friend are going to go and travel to see Juan, and they're going to be a big happy family for the first time ever for about a week. Of course, with her friend included. But she says that this is going to be the first time that they've been together, as a family. She's traveled with her boys before to go and meet Juan and meet up with Juan, and he had to work during that time, and so they weren't able to have a whole bunch of alone time. And so this time is going to be different, where he's not going to be working, and so it's going to just be them enjoying each other, spending lots of time together. And that's one of my concerns. How is he going to handle this little vacation, right? When they finally get there, when Jessica and her kids and her friend finally get there, there's a scene where they're all in a car ride, and the boys are really excited to see Juan. It sounds like they have a pretty decent relationship with him, and they're all excited to see him. And they're in the car, and they're saying, "Oh, can we sleep with you guys tonight?" And Juan and Jessica are looking at each other like, I don't think that's a good idea, because it's sexy time, right? They haven't seen each other in a few months, and so they want their alone time, and they're looking forward to it. And the kids, they don't like that, of course. Kids are kids, and so, but they're just excited. And so my first initial thought to that is, what's that trip going to look like? Yes, they're going to have her friend with her, or with them, and I'm sure the friend is going to be a huge help to them. But what's this trip going to look like? Are they going to, be able to interact well as a family unit, right? And then beyond that, because they're engaged now, when it comes to them being a big happy family, what's that going to look like? Are they going to be able to adjust well? Aside from Juan moving to this new place and living in this new place, Juan is going to be looked at as a new father figure for these boys. How is he going to handle that? How are the boys going to handle having a new parental figure in their life, especially considering they already have a father? So a few interesting things there to consider for what it's going to look like moving forward in this show for Juan and Jessica. And it sounds like there's going to be a few other things coming up in the next couple episodes in terms of just some more drama. But overall, it seems like there's some family concerns there, and at least for me, it sounds like there's going to be some family issues there potentially. And one of the other big ones is just the adjustment for Juan to move to this town where there's only cows. On to the next couple. There is Scott and Lydia. So Lydia is from the Dominican Republic, and Scott is from Spring Hill, Florida, and they're a little bit of an older couple. And I have some concerns there for the two of them. They look like they want to have a lot of fun with each other. It sounds like Lydia's very attracted to Scott. Scott has a great body. He looks like he works out a good amount. He takes care of himself, it looks like. And they show this one clip where Scott does this sexy dance for Lydia with his shirt off and just in a towel, and she's just gushing over that video, and she's just loving it, right? Which is great, you know. That's, you know, you start a relationship, and if you're attracted to each other, that's a really, really good thing. And it sounds like Scott is really looking forward to settling down. Sounds like he's played the field for a while. He was married for a long time and got divorced and is looking to, you know, start a real relationship. It sounds like he's played the field for a little while and had his fun, but he's ready to settle down. And so it sounds like they're both looking forward to this relationship. I guess they were talking for a year before they decided to meet. Yeah, this is going to be their first time meeting each other face to face. They've been talking for a year, and so this is going to be their first time meeting each other. It sounds like things will be pretty fun for them since it's going to be their first time meeting with each other. I don't know if any of you have had a long distance relationship and it's been a long time since you've seen each other. That first initial time that you see each other is going to be pretty good. So it sounds like they're going to have a good first time meeting each other. But I have concerns for them also. Lydia has a daughter, and Lydia has 2 kids, actually. She has 2 kids, and some big concerns lie around Lydia and her kids. My first concern is it sounds like her and her kids have all been a part of different TV shows at some point in time. And my concern there is just the drama factor and the TV factor. Is this relationship, you know, really about the relationship, or is it just about being on TV, right? I don't know if Lydia and her kids are, you know, benefiting from the money from these shows, and they want to just continuously be making money from these shows, and is this just another way to get more money by adding drama? Because here's another thing, Lydia's daughter is heavily involved in this relationship, it sounds like, moving forward. And Lydia's daughter, her name is Nicole, says at one point in the show that she is going to be involved with her mom's relationship in the similar type of way that her mom has been involved in her own relationships. And the show gives you clips from, I guess, previous shows with the mom's interaction with Nicole's ex-boyfriends, or maybe it's her current boyfriend, I'm not sure. But it shows clips of those interactions, and those interactions are not good. And so there might be some sabotage that might go on from Lydia's daughter for this relationship, and so that's a huge concern for me anyway, in terms of, is this relationship between Lydia and Scott going to go the distance? Lydia mentions that she doesn't want to waste time with a guy. She hasn't been in a relationship in a very long time, and so she doesn't really want to waste time. And like I said before, Scott says that he's ready for a real relationship. So if they're both being honest about that, these things that I'm talking about in terms of the shows and Lydia's daughter, how are they going to impact that relationship in terms of them having a lasting, meaningful relationship? One other concern that I have, which is not like a huge one, but it could be, depending, and we'll see moving forward. Scott has a dog, and he loves his dog, which is nothing wrong with loving his dog. But I do know that in some relationships, if a person decides to put and invest a lot of energy into their pet, their partner can feel neglected at the same time. So my concern here with Scott and his dog is, are you going to make sure that you're giving enough attention to Lydia, your partner, the one that you're actually in this romantic relationship with? Are you going to give this person the attention that they need and that they deserve over your dog? That's a huge concern. Not a huge concern, but it's a concern for me, especially considering, like I said before, they both say that they want a meaningful relationship. And so that's a concern for me. But I'm looking forward to seeing what they do moving forward and how they handle this relationship, how they, handle this first time meeting each other. I think it's going to go good. Although some of the future, takes on the show that they showed, it sounds like there's going to be some drama coming up. So we'll see what happens. The last couple they show in this episode, I don't know about this couple. It seems like there's going to be a lot of drama with this couple. I'm going to say first and foremost, the couple, there is Dewan Valentine and his partner Carlos. Carlos lives in Colombia, and Valentine lives in LA, Los Angeles. And like I said, just lots of drama so far. It sounds like they met 2 years ago, and they have been on and off for those 2 years. It sounds like their relationship, they both have very strong personalities, which is nothing wrong with that. But it sounds like both of their strong personalities are resulting in a lot of conflict between the both of them. And in this episode, they talk about, specifically, there is a friend of Carlos's, her name is Michelle. And I don't know. This is an interesting situation. Michelle is a friend of Carlos's that he met, and he wanted to have a romantic relationship with her, but she was not interested in that. The problem with this relationship is it started after he met Valentine. So he met Valentine, and sometime after he met Valentine and started a relationship with Valentine, he met Michelle and decided to start something with Michelle, and it didn't go anywhere. And so he decided, okay, I just want to remain friends. And Valentine says that he is not comfortable with this because if it's not going to be a polyamorous type of relationship thing, then there shouldn't be a reason why Carlos is still, hanging out with Michelle and spending time with Michelle. And it causes a lot of conflict between the two of them, so much so they have broken up due to this issue that they have with each other in regards to Carlos's relationship with Michelle. And in the show, Valentine has a friend, and she says that they're due to be married in just a few weeks, and this breakup occurred just a few weeks before they're due to be married. And so it sounds like this breaking up thing happens a lot between the two of them, and the fact that this breakup happened just weeks before their wedding is very, very concerning. One of my issues here is at the beginning of the show, or not at the beginning of the show, but when they introduce Carlos, he is, I don't know exactly where he is, but he's at some place, and I think he's on a beach or something, or at a park, and he's working out with a friend of his, and he reveals that the friend of his is actually an ex. And so I'm a little confused here, because it doesn't sound like Valentine has an issue with Carlos's ex that he's also spending time with during this show. And I'm very confused about that. And this ex is actually an ex according to Carlos, whereas Michelle, according to Carlos, is not an ex. She's just someone who they tried to, have, a relationship, but it didn't really happen. And so they just decided to remain friends. And so I'm just a little confused as to why there's no issues with the ex that he's hanging out with in this first episode, and why there's so much conflict and so much issues with this other friend named Michelle. Now, one of my other thoughts about this is, so Carlos says that he reveals in the show that he is bisexual, and that's why he is very attracted to Michelle, and also of course attracted to Valentine. And so I'm wondering if the big issue here is the issue that Valentine has. Is it because Michelle is a woman, and is that what's causing all the issues? Is Valentine concerned about Carlos leaving him for a woman? And on top of that, is he not concerned about the relationship with this ex because Valentine also says that he is okay with a polyamorous type of relationship. So is he not concerned about this relationship with the ex that is actually a part of this episode that Carlos is hanging out with, because maybe at some point in time there could be a polyamorous type of relationship that develops with this ex, one that would not be able to happen with Michelle. And so just a few concerns, not a few, they're big concerns. But they're due to be married here in a few weeks, in the timeline of the show. And so these things, it doesn't sound like they're being worked out. And so I'm very concerned that they're going to move into their marriage with these issues not being resolved. And it's very, very important that a marriage has a very, very solid foundation. And I'm concerned that the foundation that they have built is not a solid one, or at least one that's not a good way to start a marriage necessarily. So it sounds like these two are going to be a whole lot of drama moving forward, and I love the drama. So we'll see what happens with these two. I'm very concerned about the two of them. but we'll see. We'll see what happens. It looks like moving forward, there's going to be a lot of fireworks with these two. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of fireworks with all these couples, and I'm interested to see in how it moves forward. It sounds like there's going to be some other couples that are introduced in the show as well moving forward, so we'll see what happens. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that you'll watch the next ones. Again, I'll be watching the whole entire show and filming my reactions to the videos. I don't want to get too clinical here in terms of, just, my background as a therapist. I just want this to kind of be a little lighthearted and to give just my thoughts and my feelings as a just as a person, not necessarily as a therapist 100%, but you'll get that also. That's just who I am. So again, thank you so much for watching. I have another channel with Heart of the Matter Counseling where I do other videos that are much more clinical than this one. So feel free to go and watch those videos as well. Again, I hope you guys like this video and catch you in the next one.